Hi everyone, and welcome to our first video with voice narration. In today's tutorial, we are working on an actual repair case, an iPhone 11 with a no display issue. This device was previously handled by another repair shop, but the problem persisted. Stick with us as we take you step by step through the full diagnose and repair process and show you exactly how we brought it back to life. The previous technician already tried replacing the screen, but the problem wasn't the screen. It turned out to be on the motherboard. That's where we come in. In this video, we will take you step by step through the diagnosis and repair, and even show you how we report the sandwich board to bring this phone back to life, because we noticed that the boards are not aligned perfectly and the soldering is not done good. So we are using JCID schematics program, and we did the checking on the screen connector, but unfortunately the recording was not working. And here we have a problem in the two pins, which is the cathode part of the screen connector, and it's related to small two ICs, U6550 and U6560. We will show you on the diagnosis and on the schematics where we find the problem and how we solve it. Now we will deassemble the phone and take the motherboard out. Always try to make your work area clean, organized. You remember every part of the phone, where you put it and from where you replace it, because you want your job to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, you need at least to have a 90 to 99% of job completion correctly, because you don't want to waste your time and do it all over again. So I leave you with the assembling. I'll come back to you soon. So while you are deassembling the phone, you must make sure to protect all the parts, especially the Face ID and the cameras, because they easily get damaged throughout the work and in the workshop and the mess and everything. So we use these stickers to cover them and protect them. I highly recommend them, and they are not expensive. Like you can get 1,000 for $5, and they make your job perfect and they eliminate the risk. And here is where the microscope job came in, and the importance of the microscope. You will notice it on the job you are doing. So we always try to take a good look for the motherboard components under the microscope, look onto different areas. For example, here it's very obvious that the NAND is being changed before, and there is some missing caps on the right corner side, and the adhesive you see in it's stick to the shield, which is the default come from the factory or the manufacturer. But throughout the work we need to do a clean for it. We put the heating tape to protect that side, and now we're gonna need to remove the shield because the resistors we talk about, it's underneath the shield. Now we remove the shield, and here is what we are looking for: the ICs and the resistors. This is the display circuit for the iPhone 11. All these components, most of them, they are related to the display circuit. And here the first resistor will connect it to this IC, and here on the other pin the second resistor, which is connected to the second IC. So now we need to test and do a reading using the Avometer, reading the resistance of this resistor to check where is the problem, because it's connecting the IC to the connector. So we need to read the two sides of the resistor. Now on this side we don't have any reading. Here we have reading. So on the IC side we have a reading, but on the other side we don't have a reading, and this is a clear indicator that this resistor is having a problem. It's cutting the connection. We need to replace it with another one. And most of the time when we find that the resistor is having a reading in one side, and this side is coming from the IC, and the other side does not have a reading, so the problem is in the resistor. If the side of the IC does not have a reading or have a high reading, then this is another problem. Then we will go to the IC and check there. But from here and what we found now, the problem is in the resistor. So I'm gonna bring a donor board, which I know the resistance are working on it, and I remove this one and replace them with the other one from the donor board. Now I need to find the perfect position, that way my hands will be steady for this job, so I can remove the resistance without touching the surrounding components, and in the same time I don't heat in one place. I go in circuits, and for the heating and the rework station, we're gonna have another videos explaining to you and teaching you the best practice to align it well according to your room temperature, and on how to do soldering and desoldering without missing the other parts and the components. So this is our donor board. This is our resistors. I will use the same methodology, take them out, clean them, and take them to the board bag. Now, because I don't want to do more heating on the board, so I will add some solder to the resistors here, so it make it easy for the installation and changing the melting point of the resistor solder. And after this, I will take them to the board and fix them back. So after we position them, we add small flux, because flux help on the soldering and make the components stay on the place, they don't fly. And we heat in rotation, because we have charging IC, we have another ICs on the other side of the board, we don't want to damage them. And now they are fixed, so we do a cooling. I'm using a small fan. I will share it at the end of the video. I will share all the tools that I used here on this maintenance job. And after cooling down, we're gonna need to clean. Always clean, always try to make your work as clean as possible. Let us test. We have a reading, we have a reading, we have a reading, we have a reading. So this means like we fixed the problem, and we need to clean and test, do the first test. And for me, I use the test as a test points. What I mean by this, every step I do a test to make sure I'm going on the right way and I don't get lost, because sometimes when you do too many things, you get lost, you don't know where the damage happened. But when you do test every step after step, you make sure and you know, like, okay, I make the problem on this step, or I lost it on this step. I clean, I check. Okay, now from the way I see the boards, the sandwich board is not aligned perfectly, so we're gonna need to repol it again, clean it and put it back. Luckily for you, you're gonna see how we are doing the repolling job, and maybe you're gonna have some tips and tricks on how to do it. Yeah, this area is not connected at all. Yeah, from here, the corner side is losing it at all. So we're gonna need to do a repolling, but let us test first and see if the problem is solved. And after that, we do the repolling for the sandwich board. We do a clean, we remove the shield, and we connect the phone to the power supply and test, because this test will show me if the problem is solved or not solved, so I know how to move forward. Because on another scenario, I will just open the sandwich board and work on the top layer alone until I fix the display problem, and after that do the repolling. But now the connector is giving me reading, and I'm sure now the display is working. But let us test and see. I connect the motherboard to the power supply, and I want to make sure the board does not have a short. Okay, we don't have a short. Now we connect the screen. And we put like a tissue or anything to make sure that the screen is not going to touch any components from the motherboard and make a short. It's just a precaution like a step. And now the booting voltage is okay. Boom, boom, we have an Apple logo. So our job finished perfectly, but for us, because we love quality and we want our clients to always have the fix for as long as it can, so we are going to open the board and do a repolling again, and I will show you how we do it. So we open the board through the heater. You will see when we put it back on the heater, and now we use the solder wick to clean all these pads. We need to make sure it's all clean and straight, so when we are doing the repolling and putting the solder paste, we don't face any problems. The type or the brand of the solder wick I'm using, it's called Goot Wick. It's a very good brand. Now we clean the pads. This cleaning will take any plastic, any flux, anything, so it make sure like when I'm putting the solder paste is going to be aligned perfectly. Qianli stencil for 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max. It's a very good type. I have different types of stencils. Most of the time I buy new tools and test out, and I stick to the best one that makes sure my job perfect, and this is one of them. So we align the stencil perfectly using the microscope, moving left, right, whatever is needed, and make sure they are all aligned well. And after that, I apply the solder paste. And for the purpose of this video, I'm going to repol without the stencil. After I apply the solder paste, I'm going to remove the stencil to show you how the repolling job get done, for the people who are the first time to see this, so they can understand well. What we are doing here is we are rebuilding the solder bolts on the top of the bottom layer, so it get connected to the other board, which is the top one. So this one we are working on, they call it the RF board or the network board, which is having the Wi-Fi, the baseband, and the network circuits. And when we apply the solder paste, we need to make sure all the pads or all the dots, they are having the same amount of the solder paste, and we keep putting it gently. We don't need to push hard, like easily it will go okay. So after I apply, I'm going to clean or wipe it out. It looks good. Now I'm going to remove the stencil so you can see underneath it what is going on. And this is what we was doing, applying solder paste to each and every one of those pads. So If you are good in using the heating and air gun, you can do this. Otherwise, it's very hard. Like it's what they call it. It's a risky job. But if you know how to do it perfectly, you can use the same methodology. So here I'm using a low air. I'm not using high air. I'm using like 40, and the heating is 370, and I'm blowing outside of the board so I can just touch the top area. And whenever there is a IC, I don't stay for a long time. I move left and right, left and right, so the heating get distributed perfectly without going down to the IC. Like here I'm heading to the Wi-Fi, so I'm going to move fast. You see, so I make sure that the Wi-Fi is not affected. Do it here also. And done. You see all the balls are the same. I think the lighting reflection is making it hard for you to tell the difference, but in the next videos we're gonna make our best to align the lighting so it make it easier for you to see these small details. I'm gonna apply flux because it's helping me when I'm aligning the boards, and in the same time it make the soldering job easy. This is the top board where there is a CPU, NAND. We do the alignment. You push it down to make sure it's all aligned. And throughout the heating, the flux will melt and the two boards will be resoldered again. For the heating, I use 180 because the solder base I used it was 138, and even if you go to 160 is okay, but sometimes for me I go to 180. It's good for me. And for the timing I go for 200, which is 200 seconds, like 3 minutes and 20 seconds. The heating platform I'm using is iRepair. As I said, I will attach on the description the list of the tools I used on this job. So if you are interested, you can go and buy them. And also guys, please, if you have any problem, if you are in this field of maintenance or cell phone services, feel free to ask us through WhatsApp or our website form, or even in our social media platform. We will be more than glad to help you. Okay, so now you see they are aligned well, and I'm gonna need to clean. I always clean. As I said, you always want to make your work area, the device you are working on, all cleaned all the time, because sometimes the small things they might stop the phone from working. So nice and clean, aligned well and perfectly. Now let us clean the top and make sure there is no flux, there is nothing. Now we make another test as a checkpoint. As I mentioned before, we connect the power supply, we connect the screen, and we put a wipe as a protection. We turn on the power supply. Fantastic, we have Apple logo. Everything is good so far. We assemble back the phone and put everything in the place as we mentioned before. We need to make sure the screws are in the same position, the connectors are all connected properly, and the cameras are clean. And always, this is something most of the technicians they forget about. The first thing you disconnect when you open the phone is the battery connector, and the last thing you put back when you are assembling the phone is the battery. The first thing you remove when you open a phone is the battery connector, and the last thing you put back when you are assembling or closing a phone is the battery. Why? Because if you are working on these connectors and the battery is connected, the majority of the time you end up having a short on the motherboard. You lose a display, or use a face ID, or you lose another thing. So when you disconnect the battery connector, it means there is no voltage, there is no power in the motherboard, and it's safe for you to work on it. And the last thing is the battery. So now we test. There is nothing. Probably it's a battery problem. The battery maybe it's empty or something. Let us put it on the wireless charger and see. Force it. Okay, we have Apple logo. It disappear. It's a battery problem. And the back glass is broken, so the wireless charger is not sticking perfectly. But it's very obvious that the problem is the battery is empty. Okay, we leave it for a few seconds, not even a minute, 15 to 20 seconds. I can see consumption on the tester. Boom, we have Apple logo. The job is done. We're gonna test the touch, test the volume and the vibrator. So guys, if you like what we are doing, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and give us your comments. If it's negative or positive, we will appreciate it. Let us grow together. Thank you.